And welcome back to the Vic Akers Wonderland podcast. It's been a while. I'm back in the driving seat, and we're back for Euro 2025. We're going to do things a little bit differently this time round. We didn't have a preview for the tournament because we didn't know we were going to do this, but what a hell of a group stage it has been. 2,335 minutes played, 91 WSL and championship players. Yes, you heard me. I said championship. 89 goals and 8 teams now knocked out. An average of 1 goal every 24 minutes over the group stages. Spain breaking England's record from Euro 2022 with 14 goals in the group stages. As always, I'm joined by Adam and Matt. How are we finding the Euros, Matt?
It's been a lot more contested than last time out in the Euros. I think we were seeing games where there were 3 or 4 nils, or the odds drubbing that was going on. See England versus Norway 2022 in Brighton. Some of us were there for that one. Some of us weren't. But I've really enjoyed it a lot. I think that this time around, there's been a lot more emphasis on how close these teams are fought. I think this has been great for the development of the game. It's also been great to see all around. It means that we're getting a closer tournament and we're getting more of those dramatic moments which we sometimes see in some of the other leagues across the women's leagues across the world.
No, absolutely. And very busy Bee with his writing at the moment. Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm almost grateful for the lack of football today. We are recording on the Monday after the final round of group stage matches, so we're in a 2-day hiatus of no football, but doesn't stop the content
I don't know what I'm going to do.
from being produced. Yes, it's been very hectic. Yeah, no matches to watch. What do we do? Talk with family? Who knows? I'll be. Yeah, it's been a
We've
crazy
actually got to talk to
week
each
and a
other.
half, hasn't it?
Oh my God.
I know. Well, we're doing this, aren't we? This is what we're talking now. Yeah, went out to Switzerland for a few days. Caught the England-Netherlands game, but being, yes, Matt alluded to, and Lottie alluded to, mostly at home, covering the games and writing along, and that's been really, really, really good because it's normally I'll be as a casual watcher, but having to now focus in and try and catch a lot of detail and learn a lot of these players and get a better appreciation for some of the teams. And as you alluded to, plenty of goals. Really, really good, solid goals. There's been no nil-nils. No nil-nils in this tournament, which as somebody who is waiting for a nil-nil, there hasn't been one since 2017. I'm still waiting. It's been a cracking group stage. Really, really, really good. And I hope that carries over to the knockout rounds.
Yeah, no, I do too. I mean, the quarterfinals are set and ready to go from Wednesday. But for the moment, I am going to get you to actually get your brains in gear. Two-part question. Which group has played the most minutes and which group has scored the most goals?
So you're on about if there's added time. Which groups have the most added time added on? Because otherwise, if they've all played
No,
the same
I've included the added time in with the regular 90 minutes. So
yeah, exactly. Otherwise, it would just all be the same. Goal-wise, that's a good one. I'm going to go Group D for goals.
Matt?
Adam stole my one for goals because if you add it all up, England's beating 6-7 goals that was scored between. No, sorry, not 7. It was 8 goals. England, France, Netherlands yesterday. 7 goals. England and Wales scored yesterday. So it just altogether, England and Wales, France, and the Netherlands have all scored probably more than anyone else. In terms of additional time, I'm sure there was one that played 10 minutes, but I can't remember which group. So I'm guessing it's Group A, but I don't think it's Group D.
I think it's Group C.
Yep, that's correct. They've got 16 minutes added time, both including half time and at full time. So 16 minutes each.
Because I think the Germany, Denmark. I maybe got my lines crossed, but I think there was one where there was a lot of VAR checks, and it could be irrelevant. But I just remember because I was coming off the plane from when I was in Switzerland, and that game was going, and there was a lot of VAR stuff going on. There were penalties that were disallowed, and then there was one that was allowed in VAR, and then there was a goal disallowed because of an offside that may not. Just general VAR carnage that we're used to in the Premier League, and it's now delightfully arrived at the Women's Euros. And
The two games were Germany-Denmark and Denmark-Sweden.
Yeah,
both with 16 extra minutes, but total for that group is 597 minutes in total, including like the 90 minutes they're meant to play. So yeah. Right, Group A, we've got. Sorry, go on, Adam.
No, just I got the money's worth, especially the Sweden-Germany game, which I think was the highlight of the group.
No, absolutely. We'll get to that in a little bit. So Group A, we've got Switzerland, Norway, Finland, Iceland. Bit of a reasonable group. They've had 578 minutes and 17 goals between them. A bit of a placid group for me, if I'm honest with you. It's quite easy to kind of guess the order it was going to be. Although I will say Iceland have disappointed me. Matt Leovolti is a joint second at the moment with ball recoveries, along with Natalie Bjorn. How do you think Switzerland are doing?
This has been the tournament where, if you were to take the what previous performances have been, that they've not been able to get out of the group stage when it comes to Euros. World Cups, for whatever reason, they're fine with getting out of that group, whoever it may be. They could probably be thrown in the group with Argentina, Mexico, and maybe another European team, and they would somehow get out of the group. That's how good Switzerland seems to be when it comes to World Cup. But it's always been the sticking point that this Swiss team was good enough to be defensively solid. The only issue has been that they, without Leovolti in the team, they fall apart. Which at the moment, because they've got Volti, they've got defensive solidarity, and that wall at the back, the wall of Walty, as I like to call it so often, it has been so beneficial. What Switzerland have been missing for a long time is someone who can score the goals, or someone that can be able to create those opportunities for them to score the goals. And they've got some exciting talent. Let's not lie. Man City have picked up a bargain in Benny. There is Pilgrim as well from Roma, a player that I quite enjoy from with her time at Roma at the moment. They're two very fascinating players, and I think there's a team there that you can look at and go, wow, they're really good. That's going to be this. Whatever happens now, they've surpassed expectations just by getting out of the group. If they can do the unthinkable, I won't spoil. We won't spoil. I won't spoil it. But if they can do the unthinkable, wow! Just think, wow! Imagine that sort of moment. That would be up there as biggest upsets in football. And
to be fair, Leovolti has done it in interview, and she doesn't want to play Spain. She does not want to play Spain. I think I saw it on the She's a Baller's Instagram, and she's didn't seem very confident. But this was before this draw had come along, and it's going to be interesting. But I do think they're toast. I'm afraid. It's the politest way I can put it. Especially after their scrappy 1-1 draw.
It's good. It's a great moment. It's a beautiful moment. I mean, with the host nation, tournaments, I think, rise and fall on the strength of the host nation. The host nation a tournament, then the nation gets behind the tournament and they go deeper and deeper in. And it's great that Switzerland have got out the group stage. And I think we all saw the celebrations when the injury time equaliser went in.
Even I screamed my head off because it was a great goal.
It was a really good goal, and obviously fantastic drama because they're on the brink. It's an injury time. Matt spoke about the goals. The problem is they lost Ramona Bachmann, who was basically their star talisman. Has been around for decades. Even just a bit of clarity, she played in the 2007 European final against Arsenal. That's how long in the game she's been. And this was like the big moment for her, much like it is for Velti, and they lost her. And that's probably why there's been a struggle for goals. We should have a shout out.
But Rutler has stepped up, has she not?
that was the player I was on the tip of my tongue. 3 games in a row. I think she won the player of the match for 3 games. Even in the loss to Norway, she was player of the match. That's how good a player she's been. So massive there for much. I'm pretty sure, this is the perfect shot window for a lot of talent, and I'm sure people will swoop in to get her. It's a fantastic story. I feel sorry for Finland because I saw them in the other games, and obviously they beat Iceland. They were very unlucky against Norway. Had it a 1-1, and if they'd held on for the draw, they would have been in. They would be in the knockout rounds, and Switzerland would be out. And yeah, Iceland. I mean, blimey, nil point, and didn't really get going, and then until their last game, at which point it was too late, sadly.
I think for me, Finland were the most surprising in the group. I didn't think they wouldn't get any points. It'd be Iceland getting the points.
Yeah,
There's definitely room to improve. I mean, we've got a few Tottenham Hotspur players in there, in Sumanen and Olga Atienne. I think I've pronounced that name right. I mean, there's room for improvement, but what could take Finland to the next sort of level so they can get out of the group stages? Do you think?
Well, they've got the group stages. That can't, again, there's can't usually a bit of home support that gets you over the line, like with Switzerland. I think it's just tournament experience, and they made the perfect start, and we're pretty good against Norway, and we're very close against Switzerland. It's the closest they've probably been to getting out the group away from home comforts. So it's just tournament experience, and the likes of I think it was Koi Visto, who had a really strong tournament for Finland.
Which one?
I know it's
Which
yeah.
one?
I know one
You
of
mean
my
Emma?
friends. No, it's the one that hasn't just been signed by somebody, because
her name begins with a V.
Yeah,
Oh, God, it's got tip of my
I believe
tongue.
it's Emma, because one of them was played lots and one of them played about a few seconds.
Emma's the defender.
Yeah.
She's the one who's been scoring. The other one she comes on she's a midfielder.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
I believe it's Emma. And my friend Liberty Simons was educating on me, because they've obviously played in the Damasosanskan. But yes, Finland close to that would have gotten them over the line, and it's game management. It's game management, and just manage, and they didn't. They just went into forward tree and tried to low block and and came so deep they just drew Switzerland onto them, and the goal was inevitable. And that's just a lack of experience of being in the position. So no, hard luck for Finland, but they're definitely improving, and 4 years time maybe they'll get out of the group.
No, I think Group A is quick. It's been okay, but it's not been the absolute greatest. It's been quite tame compared to B, C, and D, I think.
I'll just add on to that. The reason it's been tame is it's how Norway have got 9 points, and Norway have not set the world alight, and they've won all 3 games and got through. That kind of sums up how that group is. But the big story is Switzerland getting through, and that should be commended.
No, absolutely. I mean, Norway did pretty okay in the World Cup, if I remember rightly, but they've not exactly set the world on fire anywhere else. So we'll see. But go back onto Group B, 581 minutes, 25 goals. And I am not going to speak about the big fish just yet. I'm going to go straight into the dark horses, which is Italy. Sleeping giant, massive potential. And I look at Italy, the first thing that comes to my head is Cristiana Girelli, v Portugal. She picks up the ball from forward and teammate at Juventus, Michaela Cambiaghi. I think I pronounced that right. Waits for the overlap and decides to shoot from 18, 19 yards out, straight to the top right corner. I literally jumped off my sofa as a neutral, and I absolutely loved it. We know what Girelli experience brings to this team, but I've also been rather impressed with Ariana Caruso.
Yep.
She's been absolutely brilliant. Even Lineri, their captain, she actually terrifies me. What have you thought of Italy so far, Matt?
I think we're now starting to see the Italy DNA come through, which is that type of defensive unit that we usually see, and they score really good goals. They don't just rely on 2 or 3 players. They rely on 3 or 4 to get the job done. And there's some fantastic players in there. Some that you haven't even mentioned just yet. But
Got
it,
Piemonte as well, who used to play
yeah,
for I want to say Leicester,
Everton.
Everton. I knew it was a blue team. I knew in that direction.
She I don't think she's come on had that sort of impact as much, but she
She
will get
scored. She scored a nice goal. Don't take that off her.
when I when she's got. But this is about Italy getting back to the basics and being able to go and be able to. So just brief history lesson. Italy used to be one of those teams in the semi-finals of these Euros. I think that's where they're sort of aiming for, and sooner or later it will happen. And it would be great to see the Italians in that sort of situation. If you're looking at it as a whole, you don't want the same old teams. At the moment it's England and Spain, and then you have a few other teams that will make it, maybe potentially France and Germany, or if one of them slips up, it's the Netherlands or whoever. You want other teams to make that this sort of semi-final, quarterfinals, and it's nice to see that the Italians are what's the word I'm looking for? Roots. They're going back to their roots and relearning how to become such a not a unit of a team,
Formidable
a
force.
formidable force that they have been in the past. Thank you, Lottie.
Yeah, I got a chance to cover Italy when I was doing the Italy versus Spain game. I'd seen the previous game with the goal you mentioned, Lottie, and I was quite worried for them actually because they fumbled it because Portugal got the equaliser. And I thought with the Spain game coming up, and with Portugal playing Belgium, and I knew very difficult tournament for Portugal, and I think we can all understand why, and our thoughts are obviously with them. And we saw what it meant when they got the late equaliser after having the other one unfortunately disallowed for offside, and I just feared that it would be the moment when the group would turn. As it so happens, Portugal weren't able to get the result against Belgium, and it was a long shot. But I was really impressed in the first half against Spain with what Italy were doing. There was a real intelligence to their play. Their number 7, Cantore, target was able. They established that there was a weakness in the Spain defence with Uhabi bombing on, and just kept time and time again, just bombing down that wing. And they got the goal after I think it was Olivero with a goal, bit of chaos in the Spain box, and they got the lead. And I thought, oh hello, they could obviously 4 minutes later, Spain just had a Spain and equalised. But I was really impressed in the first half, and it's the closest I think any team has come to taking the immortal giants of like Spain and dragging him down to our level and making him look. Nothing was they couldn't sustain him second half.
The thing is, I think
but it's good to see him up the group stage.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say. I was just going to say. I don't think they got at the group stage at the last Euros. In England, I think actually Belgium pipped them last time, and they
did.
Italy went out in the group stage. So it's good to see them out the group stage this time around.
No, absolutely. I'm kind of glad you brought up the Spain game and the goal from Elisabetta Olivero. I mean, it was a rebound strike from Elena Linari. Within 10 minutes. It was a great goal. It was just right place, right time. But the one thing I do enjoy about watching Italy is they know how to soak up the pressure from a team like Spain.
Yeah.
Spain, I think I got a nice little stat. I think it might have been, Seb Hutchinson was on comms. Matt, you'll probably correct me if I'm wrong. But Spain have only had 1 clean sheet in the last 11 games.
Yeah, it's Portugal in the opener. Yeah.
Yep, exactly that. And it's not. I understand that they're world champions and stuff, but you should be expecting that clean sheet number to be a bit higher.
There's been a sacrifice, I think, with Spain. They were a bit more open, but then their attacking play is just even more potent. It's not quite the Kevin Keegan, you score 3, we'll score 4. But they're just, when you look at the attacking riches that Spain possess, Marina Caldente, Alexia Putellas, Bon Mati, she's been out for most of the group stage. She's now just coming back in. Pariello, Del Castillo, the Vicky Lopez, who I think is going to be up for Young Player of the Tournament. I watched her in the 5-0 against Portugal and thought she was amazing. Claudia Pina. I mean, the conveyor belt of talent, it's outrageous. And that's why I think fair play to Italy, how well they were able to contain them. The problem is that as good as they were, I think it was a defensive mistake that set up the goal for Patry, which is a really good goal. And then by the end, I think 90th minute, it was a bit of a flat from Guiliani, who'd actually had a pretty good game. But now I think Italy are, as you say, Matt, they're on the rise. They're not in the same bracket as maybe Spain or France, as we'll get to later. But there is potential there, and they'll give it a good go in the quarterfinals.
No, definitely. I mean, speaking of Portugal, I mean, it's new tournament, new expectations from fans, even as a neutral, after how they introduced themselves in England 2022. The manager's been there for the last 14 years. They've been to 2 Euros now. Still not made it out the group stages. Like, Matt, what's the difference between now and England's Euros?
The difference is about 4 years ago. 3 years ago, really. If you think about it now, Portugal was an unknown entity. Nobody knew how they were going to play. Basically, the only reason they were there was by default because of the political minefield that was what happened with Russia. I won't go into details. Those that do will know a bit more about this, so I'm going to try and avoid it. Basically, Russia were banned. Portugal came in almost like a last minute thing. This was in like March of that year. So that essentially they had a shorter amount of time to be able to prepare for the tournament compared to everyone else who had qualified for the tournament. And that was the concern. But they were able to throw surprises out. You go into that first game against Switzerland at Lay Sports Village. Everyone expected Switzerland to go out and beat Portugal. No one expected Portugal to do anything. And they fought tooth and nail to get something from that game. Then a couple of days later, again, Lay Sports Village playing the Netherlands. You think the Netherlands are going to walk over Portugal? No, that's not going to happen. They're going to make it as interesting as possible. And what happens? Danny van de Donk goes and scores an excellent goal from outside the box. But the surprise has now changed. So what's changed is that they're more well known because there's more eyes on the leagues. There's scouts everywhere. They're looking for the next Chloe the Cast. They're looking for the next Jessica Silva. They're looking for players.
It's just like Chloe the Cast is not.
But where was she playing? Where was she playing?
Oh, I see. Yeah, so I was going to say, yeah.
Hold horses, Adam. Just listen.
Yeah. The whole thing is that everyone's looking for those little gems that no one really knows, but know that they are going to be a gold mine. So it's one of those where everyone sort of knows what they're about now. And okay, fair play to the manager who's been there 14 years, but what's really changed? Nothing. Nothing's really changed at all. He's not been able to get them to qualify in a Euros. He managed to, if I remember correctly, he got them out of the World Cup group. But they just can't seem to crack the Euros code, and that probably means it's time for them to look at changing the manager and maybe finding someone who would be more suitable. There has been a manager I've mentioned multiple times who is Portuguese, a female coach as well, that would probably suit Portugal a lot better than their male manager at the moment. I'm forgetting the names, and someone's going to
Francisco Neto. Neto is the manager. Yeah. Yeah.
But as well, to have the emotional background that Adam's already talked about as well, on top of that, it's probably made it a little bit more complicated because you're being able to focus on something that's happened outside can also be an inflicting. It's always going to be on your mind psychologically. Like you're not always going to give 100%. It happens when you're at work. It happens even if you're playing yourself, and say you've been to a funeral or something like that, you've got it in the back of your mind. But it's just at this moment in time, Portugal need to find a recipe to be able to build on success. I would point to the Nations League as the disaster class. I mean, essentially, that was the same group that they were in for this, bar England being in that one compared to Italy, and they still finished bottom. So that tells you everything.
Now it's a bit of disappointment. I was hoping for more from Portugal. They got Kike Nazareth, who was doing great things at Barcelona and obviously scored against us when we went out to Portugal in our Nations League group. But she, I think, got injured for, I think it might have been in the Copa del Rey or something for Barcelona. She was raced back in, didn't really see enough of her. They've only ever won, I believe, one game at the Euros, and that was in 2017 when they beat Scotland. And other than that, they've been completely luckless. It's their third Euros, and they've failed to get the group every single time. And I think maybe it's an assumption with Portugal that they have so much male football heritage that we think that somehow that transposes onto the women. But it's clear that they're a growing nation. They're not there yet. But then again, the talent is starting to fan out. And as you mentioned, about the Portuguese league is becoming a bit of a sort of a hotbed for talent. Benfica goes to a Champions League when we won, I believe, at Sporting Lisbon's ground. So they are growing in the women's game, but I think this clearly showed that at the moment, in terms of where they stand, considerably far behind a lot of their competitors they're looking to challenge with. They should have done more against Belgium. They should have done more against Italy. Those were the two games if they were going to get through. I watched them when they played Spain, and I was shocked at just how naive they were against the Spanish. Considering they played Spain in the Nations League, I thought, you know what they're like. Don't try and just be, you got to play smart with Spain. You can't just express yourself because it's that good. They were wide open. We're trying to play it out, and Spain were just like, "Thank you very much." Just picked them off. Scored after 2 minutes. It was like 4-0 at half time. I think it could have been 8. It was bonkers. But anyway, that it is what it is. I think you raised a good point, Matt, with Neto. He's been there since 2014. I think at some point you got to go. It's a bit like with England and Hope Powell. We were Hope Powell for many years, and then we thought we've got to go on to the next level. Powell on, and I think it's the same with Neto. He's done really well to get Portugal to the first Euros and repeatedly get them at the Euros. But at some point, you've got to go, right, we need the next rung on that ladder, and that may be what happens at the end of this Euros.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, Spain had to have 4 different goal scorers and needed additional time to seal the 3 points. So it can't all have been that bad.
What in the Portugal game?
Yeah.
Well, because it was 4.5 time, and then Spain just basically put the handbrake on for the rest of the game, and then just pick one off at the end. It was just that sort of game.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest, craziest game in this group would have been the Belgium-Spain game.
Yeah.
6-2.
Yeah.
And Justine Van Havermaet would not have it. So, I'm gonna give this one to you, Matt. I mean, where do I start with this game? It was insane.
Well, if you're going to talk about Justine Van Havermaet, you have to talk about her height. She is one of the tallest players that you'll ever see. It's almost like when going back to when FIFA started having the women's team, it was almost like a cheat code to have Jill Scott score in corners because she would always score or on the end of crosses.
That's what Lena Hurtig was to Arsenal. Same with Amanda Ilestedt and Stina.
Justine Van Havermaet is a fantastic player, and it's a bit of a shame really that she's left Everton now. So someone's going to look at her, and there's going to be an opportunity for her to there's potential to maybe see if she can maybe do it in Champions League, wherever she may decide to go. But she is a really versatile player, and Belgium, when you score a goal against Spain and it's your tallest player, that's almost like an inkling to say you need to do this against Spain. You need to make sure that if you're going to get those crosses in, make sure that you have your tallest player. Because there's been times this Euros and in the past that Spain are very twitchy with their defending. Not the best term I know, but There have been times as well, going back to the World Cup, when Leia Cordina scored that own goal. The goalkeeper, we do love you, Leia Cordina, just before any of that. But there's also been the goalkeeping issue as well. You've got a goalkeeper who's number one for Barcelona, and you're not using her.
Isn't she injured? Didn't she actually pick up something in the tournament? I'm pretty, because I know Bonmati had something, and I'm pretty sure Katja Cole picked up something, and that's why they've had to put their secondary keeper out.
But this is the reason why I'm saying this now, is that if you're not using her and she's got a niggle, and usually at this time either they brought in a replacement or they've replaced the player. Obviously, if it's the day before a tournament, you can't do that because the window. I say window. It's not really a window, is it? The final squad list has been announced. You're not allowed to do that anymore. So it's just one of those this is the second time in 2 tournaments now where Spain have had to change their goalkeeper just before a tournament or during a tournament, shall we say. And I've not been very impressed, to be honest. She's been very erratic at times. I remember a couple of those back passes she's been chasing down, she's hoofing it instead of that calmness that you usually get with a goalkeeper. So it is an interesting one, but I wonder what's going to happen with the knockout games. Is Casagol going to come in if she's 100%, or are they going to carry on with this goalkeeper or not? Because it's a very much a wait and see situation. Obviously, the games, I'm going to get it completely wrong. I've got 4 days to choose from, and I definitely know it's not Saturday, and I definitely know it's not the shoot of Thursday. So I'm guessing it's a Friday game.
Wednesday or Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Friday game because that's the only one I'm missing. So,
that 1 in 4 chance, then I'll get it right.
The name you're looking for is Adriana Nanclez is the keeper they're using at the moment. Catacol on the bench. The thing is with Spain, for me, it doesn't really matter who you stick in goal. The sheer firepower they have, it's unreal. I was covering Spain, Belgium as well, and the first half I thought, you know what, Belgium are doing a really good number on Spain. Their defensive shape is pretty good. Obviously, the goal that Alexia scores was just a really brilliant bit of fast-paced 1-2 in the box that it's practically undefendable. It's just through the keyhole, through the mouse hole sort of passing, just superb. But Van Havermaet got the goal. I think it was Paredes who had it from a corner, but a 2-1 at half time, and I think they've been like the only shots on target. So I thought Belgium done really well to limit them. Erlings gets a brilliant goal just after half time, racing through, which thankfully VAR gave with the semi-automatics, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. This is the first time Spain have been brought. After what happened in Portugal, I thought Belgium are doing a number on Spain. This is fantastic. Now just defend properly for the rest of the half. What Spain did was just an absolute exhibition of football. It was something. I've spoken to friends who follow Euros, and they agree that when their Spain are playing like they did in that second half, when you had with Gonzalez, Claudio Pina, Mariano Caldente, Pates again, just the level is above anything else in the tournament. Just what they are producing for it. So it doesn't matter who's in goal. It doesn't matter that Van Havermaet's knocking in a corner.
Adam,
it doesn't matter because they're scoring 4, 5, 6 goals.
The problem I have is there's not that balance. Okay, you look at the defensive unit. They've got Ariane Paredes, brilliant player. On a Bassier, great defender. But there's not that balance, and that's why you're seeing Spain be exposed more this tournament than say in the past.
Until I see a team that can actually nullify Spain, because I take your point, because the problem is you're over reliant on your attack, and you get a bit when that happens, you get a bit vibey, and that's when you start getting like 4-3s and 5-4 results. It's a bit basketball, a bit like what Arsenal had towards the end of the season when you think about those games against Brighton and just rubbish at the back and those score lines. But at the moment, Spain's attack is just so above anything else. So certainly anything in the group, above anything else, that until I see a team that can actually stop that attack, then I'll have concerns. Because I think you are right. There are genuine issues. Spain will give you a chance. the problem is that they'll create 10 times as many chances as the ones that they'll give you. And what I was seeing in that second half, as they finished 6-2, it could have been more. They hit the post a few times. There's a few chances they actually missed. What I've been really impressed with Spain is that they actually have an actual what's the best way to describe it? There's a ruthlessness in their attack. So many times I saw Spain, especially at the Euros last time when in England, they'd have control of the game, they'd dominate possession, but they just couldn't get the ball in the net. It was against Germany, they had the same problem. Against us, they got one goal, but they had control for about, I would say, 60 to 80 minutes of that game. They were in full control and they could only get one goal. They should have scored more. We're actually seeing, unless a team has a defensive structure that can nullify all the players I've listed already, then I can't see I can't see anybody else in Spain winning the Euros at this point. And the only thing that goes against them is we're jumping ahead, but they got Switzerland, as we now know, in the quarterfinals. I think we can all agree which way that's going to go.
Yep, Switzerland toast.
Yeah, I mean, if Switzerland win that one, I mean, fair play to them, and Spain have only got themselves to blame. The only way I see Switzerland winning that is on penalties. But given their side of the draw, that's the only thing that might pull the rug out from under Spain, is that the side of the draw they've ended up in the knockout rounds. But based on what's in the group so far, there's no side that that I can see with a defence that can stop this Spanish side at the moment.
I think that's everything for Group B. Are we happy with that?
Yeah.
Went on a bit longer than we were supposed to. But on to Group C, 597 minutes and 20 goals. I think we'll talk about Denmark first. I mean, they've declined over the years. I mean, you can see how frustrated Pernille Harder is at the moment. Well, she was very, very angry, shall we say. And her shots were going off target over the net. Or going wide. But that's not the Pernille Harder we're used to seeing, is it, Adam?
No, not at all. Quality player, legendary quality player. Obviously, regular Champions League finals with like Wolfsburg, and did it the same with Chelsea. But Denmark as a whole, since they got to the final in 2017, they've not got out of the group. And I expected more from this time around. There's talent in there. We know of Pernille Harder, as we say. Nadia Nadine came off the bench, and they got the likes of Sinja Brun up front as well. I missed the Germany game because I was on my flight, but I saw them against Sweden, and I found them distinctly underwhelming. It was Denmark-Sweden was a snooze fest. I think it was 1-0. Angeldal got the winner, but Denmark didn't really bring anything. So when I came off my flight and saw they're beating Germany, there was an eyebrow raised. Obviously didn't pan out and they would be knocked out. But I covered the Poland game when Poland played Denmark, and I was just shocked at how poor they were in the first half, especially. Poland we'll get to, but they were debutants, and they were pretty much the Wales of that group. And so Denmark should have been beating them easily, and they went 2-0 down. The saddest bit for me was that Pernille Harder limped off about midway through the first half, and that kind of summed up Denmark's tournament. And I mentioned Adim earlier. She had a goal chalked off for offside, unfortunately, and that's her last tournament. Legendary player, and that's not the way you want to go out. Is losing to what was basically the minnows of the group. As for Harder, I don't know if that's the last year or not. She maybe has one more, but that's again not the way you want to go out. You want to go out on your own terms, not limping off. But this has been a problem with Denmark. There's 2 Euros in a row where they've flopped to the group stage, and their manager's off now. The manager's off to Manchester to manage the team, because there's plenty of talent in there. They shouldn't be bottoming the group, and it's a real shame.
No, absolutely. I mean, better news for Poland. First win, first 3 points, first 3 goals.
Yep.
A lot of things are happening in threes for this game. Bayern Munich's forward Natalia Padilla Bidas, Barcelona's forward Eva Payol.
Eva Payol.
Sorry, to apologise. And FC Cologne's left back / winger Martina Wankowska. Sealed it the win in the second half. I'm going to own this. This is one I did not watch, and I feel like I have missed out, but I was too busy laughing at Germany.
Yes.
As a Stina Blackstenius fan. I mean, the result's encouraging, like an encouraged step for qualifying for the next Euros. And possibly we'll get more Polish players out into different leagues and into the next stage. It could improve for the next Euros to get them through to the next stages. What do you think, guys?
Poland are one of those ones that you look at as pretty much like Portugal, team on the rise. They've got some good talent that have made themselves be aware. Schmedic's in goal for him, for example, at West Ham. Still a bit of a surprise, really, that she's playing at West Ham of all teams, really, a team that doesn't really. We know, you know, our opinions on West Ham. Let's just leave it at that. But I think she could be playing higher up than where she is. I think there are some talented players in there. They will definitely be looked at over the summer and probably be looked at. I think the most important thing for Poland was to be able to get something on the board, whether it was going to be a first goal or a clean sheet or just something that they can go away and go, you know what, we did our best and we can build on this. A bit similar to Portugal in that 2022 Euros. And you know what? I think everyone's really enjoyed the opportunity. I was actually double screening, so I was able to sort of watch Germany. Well, I did watch Germany and Sweden as well as this one. It was just you're getting to see some fans. This is one of the things I do love about the Euros. You get to see players that you've never heard of before. You don't know where they're going to turn up, and then about a month later, they end up being in the WSL or in the Champions League, and then you're playing against them against an Arsenal or Chelsea or I nearly said Manchester United, but you never know how they're going to go. But this shouldn't be about league bashing at the moment. But it's that sort of thing that you quite enjoy about this, and I think I would like to see what would happen if Poland. What happens in the Next Nations League? Because that would be the setup for the. Well, it's almost the setup for the World Cup in 2 years' time at the moment. So, if Poland can potentially get a decent group in that and qualify for the World Cup, that would probably be the next step for them, and that would be a very, very interesting watch if they make it to Brazil.
What Poland have got in there? Came from Wolfsburg, went to Barcelona. Brilliant forward, was their captain, their talisman, and I was so chuffed to see that she actually got a goal at the Euros because she deserved that moment as did for the country. So she is the player that the country can sort of put their chips on to sort of push them forward. A bit like how Kelly Smith was sort of our talisman when we were sort of growing in onto European stage. Because when we got into the Euros in 2001, when we established the group stage, we finished bottom. We think we scored one goal. We got battered by the Swedes and battered by the Germans. You know, much like teams like Portugal and Poland are suffering at the moment, but you have to start somewhere, and getting that first win is massive. And I'm glad that Poland have done it, and it will hopefully inspire the next generation of people, because people watching at home, young women, young girls are watching out thinking, I want to be the Eva Pyle, I want to be scoring goals and like that as my country have done. And they are a young team, and they had the potential to go even further. And I agree with the nations. And yeah, hopefully we'll see them at the World Cup, because it's been a joy to have them in the tournament.
No, absolutely. I mean, I wish I watched more. Put it that way. Speaking of 2001, it's the first time Sweden have beat Germany in a European competition. Again, Seb Hutchinson, thank you for the stat. Stina Blackstenius, what can I say? She scores the goals, 2 in 3 matches, 2 in spectacular fashion. I know they don't not Arsenal players, but we've had 2 from Lena Hurtig and a clean sheet from Amanda Illested. I mean, Germany's not had a great time. They've lost Bayern Munich's Julia Gwynn to an MCL. We do wish you a speedy recovery. But what I do want to talk about is Frankfurt's right back, Carlotta Wamser, during that Sweden game. That red card. Did she think she was the goalkeeper, Matt?
I don't think she was thinking. And it does happen. You see yourself, you get yourself really frustrated, and you just take a swipe at a player, or you do something ridiculous. And you know what? This kind of feels like a very similar moment to when different tournament, men's tournament 2010, Luis Suarez handballs it and gotta get a penalty. So that's the sort of thing that I'm thinking of along these lines. If she gets the red card and they miss the penalty, she's going to go up and down that sidelines, running around like a lunatic. But it's just, I think it's Aslani that takes the penalty, isn't it? So and she calls the puts into
It was Fredolina Rolfo.
Rolfo, sorry, and one or the other. Or either way, Sweden
It
have
was a
so many
major cap for her. I can't remember the exact number.
hundreds.
100 caps. There you go.
Yeah.
And then they hauled her off at half time.
I think this is just we're seeing a Sweden that have learnt the lessons of 3 years ago, and that you haven't looked back since. I mean, you would have thought at a World Cup a defender would have been one of the top goal scorers in Amanda Ilestedt, and then 2 years later, 3 years later, we would have been seeing her be in the European Championships, not as a starting centre back as much as we've seen her in the past. But Sweden have been a fantastic team, and it's very odd to see Germany once again fall apart so bizarrely. I remember when we talked again, going back to the World Cup, and really sorry unless everyone talking to Andreas, a friend of ours, and I remember asking him the question, what would it take for the manager to be sacked? And he said, well, then if they don't get out of the group, he's most likely gone. What happened? They didn't get out of the group. She was gone, and now all of a sudden, Germany don't look like the Germany that we used to see. This very powerful nation just being able to knock teams aside with ease, and all of a sudden, it's all sort of crumbled around them. And if you think about the team from now to the last Euros, apart from Leah Schürrle being the number 9 now instead of Alexandra Pop, there's not really much changes in that side, which is really bizarre.
No, there isn't at all. But Adam, are they still that sleeping giant we all expect to see? Or I hate to say it, or do they just play boring football?
Who, Germany?
Yep.
Yeah, so I unfortunately I get where Matt's coming from, because I missed this game because I was actually, my focus was on the Poland game, but I was with somebody who was keeping me up to date with the Sweden game and the nonsense that was happening in it. All empires come to an end, as I say many times. You know, we had it with Arsenal. Yeah, we had years upon years upon years of greatness, and then you transition away, and another team steps up and is sadly in there now. And I think it's the same with Germany. They won the Euros 6 times in a row, which is an incredible run at the top, and interspersed with that 2 World Cups, we should say as well. Just a ridiculous level of consistency. But ever since they lost their run, I think it was in 2017, we lost to Denmark. But I think that was very much an Alexandra Pop dragging the team pretty much to the final. A lot of the games were won on her back. I remember she was the winner, scored both goals to a brace against France in the semi-final. She basically won them the semi-final, and her being out in the final cost them the tournament. They put all their chips on her, and I think we're seeing that now. The way they went out in the group stage of the World Cup was bizarre, but this was sort of something else. I watched them against Poland, and I thought Poland did a really good job on them in that first half, and certainly the first half. And I thought if they'd come away with a point, it would have been fair. They didn't. They got the win, fair enough. There's a lot of VAR nonsense in the Denmark game, so and I think they got a bit unlucky with some of the decisions. Okay, fair enough. But again, in this Sweden game, they took the lead, but the way that Sweden tore them apart in that first half, and as you mentioned, the red card, Luis Suarez is the exact comparison I was thinking of when I watched it back. It's just it's stupidity. It's the defense acting instinctively, not realizing. No, play the percentages. There's nothing wrong with conceding players on the pitch than to be sent off and concede a penalty, because both paths lead in the same direction. You'd rather just have the extra player on the pitch. I do fear, well, not fear because it's Germany, but like from a neutral perspective, it could be that we are seeing Germany fade to the back row now. It could be that their time is done. They're going to drop to the back, and it's the likes of Spain who are probably going to be the stronger force. France, which we'll get to, maybe even England if we play our cards right, it could be there as well. They're in a bit of a sticky wicket at the moment, Germany, and there's a lot of players. I think you were alluding to, Matt, who were there for the last Euros, are still there. There's definitely a generational issue. There's players that need to be phased out. Yeah, younger players come through. I remember when we watched them at Germany, when I watched them in Wembley when they beat us 4-3, and I thought, oh wow, they've got their act together now. They look really scary. And then you watch this happen against Sweden, you go, oh, maybe not. So yeah, very, very strange. And obviously their runners up in the group, so it put an interesting dimension, shall we say, on the last group of fixtures in our group.
No, absolutely, couldn't agree more. I think we'll get onto the groups that everybody's waiting for. Group of death, 579 minutes, and a massive 27 goals. I'm going to quickly touch on France. Delphine Cascarino up for player of the tournament. Anybody?
Yeah, 100%. She's up there. I've been so wowed by her, and I was impressed with her in the England game, and then I saw her the other night against the Netherlands and thought she was even better. Just one of the most potent wingers, scary, terrifying, I would say, with the pace and the physicality, but also the end product. She could have a Beth Mead tournament. If France go deep, she could have what Beth Mead had in 2022. That's the level I think she's at. It's terrifying.
Do you know what? I couldn't agree more. I've been watching her for a while, and I found it really funny when Emma Hayes said last night, "Oh, I watched Delphine Cascarino score these week in, week out in the NWSL." And I'm sitting there thinking, she's only had 10 appearances and 2 goals. What are you talking about? But if you're referring to her level of talent, then fair enough. But she hasn't done that in the NWSL. She's appeared 10 times and scored twice.
I think she just arrived.
Yeah, basically. If I remember rightly, she's at. Oh, I want to.
Go on then.
Oh God, is it San Diego Wave?
Yeah.
I was gonna say Rafaeli's team, then I was like, no,
that's
the other one.
There was a joke by the San Diego Wave admin because somebody made a comment about Cascarino. She hadn't scored a goal or something, and they made a comment, and then they retweeted the picture of her when she'd gone and put those 2 goals in, including that brilliant rocket against the Netherlands, which we watched that, and
that was actually
hands
insane.
up, just go, no, that's superb. Nothing you can do about that. Poor Daphne van Domselaar did not know which way to look after that game.
Oh, do you know what? With these stronger games, I'm kind of glad they've come up now rather than the tail end of our domestic season. I'm not gonna lie, I felt so bad for her, but I was so happy. I felt so bad. We've never seen her that bad, so hopefully we get her confidence back up for the domestic season in a couple of months.
I was furious because I put my chips on Daphne for my fantasy team, and I've seen her concede 9 goals in the group stage, and I'm furious.
I knew Wales should get a clean sheet; she'd be fine. After that, she was out. It was just like no chance.
But the problem was that my sub keeper was the Wales keeper, so I've had a double disaster. I was snookered either way.
Oh wow, you were snookered. Wow.
I didn't think it through. I'm rubbish, as you know. I'm rubbish at fantasy team, and I absolutely made an absolute horlicks of it. So,
absolutely. I think the next worthy team since we're talking about Daphne, is the Netherlands. Viviane Miedema, a century and a goal for the Netherlands. It coming in between Wales. She had said in an interview that she wasn't going to score it today because her family weren't there, but she did it anyway, and in spectacular fashion. Unfortunately, the Netherlands camp is not happy. Matt, you were telling me about our good friend Roos and her piece on in the camp. What have you made of it?
Well, just for people to know, there is a discontent with Andries Jonker. Now he's obviously going to be gone, and they now have our assistant manager at the moment, Arjun. I've got to get it wrong. So that it's just, I think you can tell, and the issue has been that Danny van der Donk has essentially lost out on playing in the knockout rounds once again because Netherlands haven't gone through, and the annoying thing is they were 2-1 up at half time. All they needed was 2 goals, and they just completely capitulated. Um, I think that this is it. This is the end of the Netherlands team that we saw from 2017. Now, a lot of them are going to have to leave, and it's not going to be. I don't know if it's going to be pretty. To be honest, I think it's going to. We might see like a Steph Houghton sort of issue coming up. And it's just a bit of a shame really, because some of these players are very very talented and didn't deserve to go out this sort of way. If you want to go down, you want to go down fighting. It would have been brilliant to say Netherlands were winning 4-1 or something like that, and all of a sudden France bring it back in the last couple of minutes and get a draw or something, and that's how they win the group. That's the sort of thing you want to go out with. Well, we tried our hardest, but it didn't come off. And I think the biggest shame would be the fact that they didn't turn up against England, and they turned up for half an hour, for 45 minutes against France, and then just fell apart. And that will be the biggest shame of the lot.
Absolutely. As a Gooner, it's always great to see Victoria Pelova. Well, she's got at least two when they were scoring.
Worldy volley.
Adam, you looking forward to her? I know this is a bit off topic, but is it nice to see her back? Are we ready for her back at Arsenal like this?
It's nice to see Pelova fit and firing.
Matt is very keen on that.
Yeah,
Just
I
church
really,
naughty dog on us.
the volley she scored in. Obviously, shout out to Chastity Grant, because obviously she had the first effort and it was brilliantly saved by ex-Gooner, Pauline Perrin-McGinn. And superb volley, and obviously there was the own goal and they went ahead. And I was covering this game and I was thinking maybe this might go one way, because I went out to Switzerland and I watched England Netherlands, and I thought the Netherlands, they'd beaten Wales. I was listening on the radio because I was driving back. I was rushing back to get to the England France game. And I was listening to radio and I thought, okay, well, Wales, it's their first game. They're being quite defensive. Great goal from Miedema, obviously, to give them the lead, and they saw it out. And I think it was 3. It could have been 5. It was pretty comfortable. They hit the post a few times. And I thought, well, they'll give us a really good game in Zurich. And I sat and watched it, and I could not believe just how poor the Netherlands were. I was shocked. I know, and the thing is, we were bad against France. I mean, we'll get to that in a bit. But I've been watched that, and I fully
expected to lose that Netherlands game.
Yeah, I fully expected it. I fully expected to lose it one, and I thought that the Netherlands have got us right at the right moment. They're on a high, they're winning, we've pants. And I remember watching us play the Netherlands in the Nations Leagues, and they were usually quite close, one win each. And I thought, what, they could do us here. I could not believe how awful they were. It was so easy for England to simply play through them. Lauren James was electric. We know she is, but she really turned up. Obviously, got 2 goals. Tooney got a goal, which was fantastic. And I'm now trying to remember who Stanway, of course, rocket flew into the box. Really good goal right on half time. And then there was just no response from the Netherlands at all. I think they had 1 shot on target. It was biblically poor. And I was like, who is this team playing in orange? Because this is not the team that won the Euros in 2017 and opted out in the process. It's just an absolute shadow. And I think it's age. Sheridan Spitzer is about 35, I think. He's just captains. He's moved from midfield to defence. And having spoken with Dutch fans, I think the only person who wants Sheridan Spitzer to play for the Netherlands is Sheridan Spitzer, because she just it's just an element of like, come on, it's the old. Obviously, there was with Miedema. She had the fitness issues going into the tournament. Great that she got the 100th goal, but then didn't really have an impact against England. There's issues, I think, with the way that the team was set up. She didn't really get much service, and then she wasn't picked at all for the last game, which raised an eyebrow, and then was never brought off the bench either. I don't think the experienced players turned up, like Jill Roord. I don't think really sort of shone. I think defensively they were very flaky. The first half against France was the best I saw them play in the entire tournament, but they just collapsed in the second half with just really, really sloppy possession. The goal, I think it was I want to say Katoto, the equaliser. Netherlands had a free kick on their halfway line, completely safe, and they literally just coughed possession straight to France, and they just raced through and scored. They looked shot to pieces. The senior players didn't step up. And I think there needs to be a hard, ruthless edge with this. The Serena's assistants coming in had to say, right, you gave the likes of Palova, the likes of Lenneth Bernstein, Daphne Domsvar, Wilms. I think just that's what they need to do. They need to. 2017 was great. We've indulged it long enough. That's in the past. It's time for a new generation. But yeah, very disappointed with the Dutch in the two Euros.
No, absolutely. I think the only thing I think for me out of that Netherlands game when they played us that I can take away is we know that is it Veal Berman? She's just signed for Chelsea on loan from PSV, if I remember
Ah, right.
rightly.
Yeah.
During the game, she's taken out Lucy Bronze and she's given Lauren James a black eye.
Yes,
I
and she still
mean,
got it.
is it gonna be awkward on the first day of training when she goes back?
No,
Are you
no,
sure?
no,
I
no.
think
It'll
it's
be
a
fine.
pullover and Liam Volti moment, or even Katie McCabe and Kyrie Kelly.
And if it is that, I think they'll laugh about it, and there'll be some content made on the socials about the fact that that's
Oh,
what's
they're not
happened.
that clever. Don't be silly.
I
They're
think
not
they'll
that.
be fine about. I think
They're not that clever. Anyway, less about going back to
they'll be
Chelsea. We
fine
don't
about it.
care. Oh no, absolutely. I think
Mm.
the little gem of this tournament in terms of debutantes for me has been Wales. They went from a minimal amount of fans. I couldn't find the exact number in 2021. To what we've seen this Euros, and the atmosphere they've brought with them is nothing short of amazing for their first official tournament. Yeah. They've got their first goal. Matt, walk me through that.
I've not got much nicety to say to Wales, to be honest, but basically the figures that you're talking
I
there
feel
is
like I should have
about.
just asked Adam. Adam's face says
Tell
it
you what,
all.
tell you
Yes.
what. Ask me if
Well,
Matt had enough positive.
let me
Ding,
finish.
ding, referee, stop. Boys.
So the attendance you're looking for was about over 100 people in a park. But basically, people were walking their dogs around when they started playing. Jess Fishlock was still playing, was started playing at that sort of time. So if you're talking about that sort of growth, yes, that's great. They haven't got that following yet. They're very Chelsea. They still have that Wales charm that goes around, just annoying as anything. But it's growing because of how well they're doing. But you look at the problem is that they don't really have a league. A lot of the players are playing in the WSL or the Championship, or having to look elsewhere to play their games because there isn't a backed sort of league or well recognised league in Wales at the moment. If we're going to talk about how they've done, yes, they've got those milestones. Jess Fishlock with the first goal. Okay, VAR had its say in that as well. Hannah Kane getting the second one against England as well. That's going to be a huge landmark for them as well. In terms of improvement, what can they do? Well, that they've got the set their sights now for a World Cup, and we'll see what happens. But if you've got nothing nice to say, don't nothing good to say, don't say anything. And that is me finished. Now you can talk, Adam.
Oh, behave, the pair of you.
Pressing. I've got a lot of love for Wales. Grew up near the country and got a lot of friends of Welsh persuasion and knew people who were out in the Welsh Wall. And when I was out in Switzerland, when I checked in at the hotel, I was actually met with a group of sort of traveling Welsh fans. They got like a group of them all together. They got a agency sort of out of a hotel, so they were all. It was basically the hotel lobby was basically all Wales, and I was talking with the fans there, and of course they're not expecting to win the Euros, but they are just so happy to be at the tournament, and I think it's wonderful how the nation has jumped on and got behind Wales at the Euros without any expectation. It's not like in the rugby when they think maybe not so much at the moment, but the men's rugby team has always historically been very good, and Wales has always been very much a rugby nation. But seeing so many fans, I was hearing one of my friends, Sean, who's a Welsh journalist, was talking about how like one or two people or tens or hundreds or whatever it is, minuscule people traveling to do like Wales qualifiers, now, and when the national anthem plays and you can hear all the Wales fans singing and the Wales players singing on as well, and it's spine tingling stuff. And I was lucky when England played the Netherlands 1-4-0. My hotel was right by the stadium, so I raced back, and they had in the lobby, they had on the TV the Wales-France game, and it was filled with England fans. So we're all happy. We just had the 4-0 win, and all the England fans were supporting Wales. Now I know for a fact that Wales fans are never going to support England, and fully respect that. But we were all supporting Wales, and when Jess
Because nobody
Fishlock,
likes France but French people.
no, but I think there was a genuine respect for Wales and where they are on this journey, and me being all of us, when Jess Fishlock scored, the lobby went mad. Everyone was cheering, everyone was celebrating. Obviously, there was a pause when we thought it was offside and we were gutted. And then when the VAR went green and it was given, we were absolutely thrilled for them. And we wanted them to obviously get the draw, and it didn't. Obviously, there was the penalty, and it went on to become 4-1, I think, in the end. But we were little. If she played for England, she'd have she'd have Euros, maybe even the World Cup, because she is that good. If anybody deserved to score that first goal for Wales, it's Jess Fishlock. And I think when Hannah Kane, I think it was, who got the goal against England, I was saying, I think even the England fans in the stadium were cheering the fact that even though they've scored at England, even though Wales had scored against England, I think even the England fans were cheering that goal. Obviously, it was immaterial to the result, but they recognise just what it means, because I said before, we have been on this journey, we have tread this path. As I say, back in 2001, we were what Wales are now. We were very little followed. Our league didn't really exist. It was what was known as the Premier League, a much lesser league. And it's all about those building steps, all about getting your first goal, getting yourself to the tournament, inspiring the nation. There is a Welsh league. It isn't well known, but it does exist. It can grow, or as we've seen maybe in the men's side, Welsh teams come over and start playing in the English league, like Cardiff City, which they used to do. The Cardiff City, not so much now, they're now Gwalior United, but Cardiff City used to play in English teams like Barry Town. It's a long journey, but the fact that so many Welsh fans have come over, not expecting anything, not expecting to win, but just come over and just enjoy the moment and seeing their nation play in this tournament, and in a women's tournament, I think is something truly special. And I've said it many times, the Welsh national anthem is a fantastic sound to hear in a sporting ground, especially when I've watched them in the rugby and the football, when it's they're 1-0 up, but they're clinging on, and you hear "Land of My Fathers" play. You want that again. So I hope we see them again soon, and I hope they can develop and become a really good, competent team at international tournaments.
No, absolutely. I mean, Adam, what do you think is next for Wales? They've gone through their first tournament. They've been, I know, certainly with the pundits post matches with them when they're talking about Wales. I cannot remember her name. She was on the England game, sitting next to Karen Carney last night.
Is his best friend from last Euros.
Jane Ludlow, legendary Arsenal.
There we go. As I was saying, I've actually lost my train of thought now. They've gone through their first tournament.
Yes.
There've been some fans that have been left questioning, like, this is just the regular fans, superstars, etc. Like, what is next, and what is the identity of Wales? Because as we know, there's the rumours of Jess Fishlock, Hannah Kane, retirement announcements incoming.
Yeah, I mean,
possibly, and the manager last night did mention it post match, so that potentially could have been their last goodbyes.
Yeah.
What does that mean now, Adam?
It's going to be tough. Jess Fishlock, as I said, has basically led Wales to this point. She's led them to the promised land, and a bit like I said before, like Eva Pyle, like R. Kelly Smith, and she's had her moment, and she's had the moment to perform in that tournament. But I think she's 38, so she's actually in the record books as the oldest player to ever score at the Euros, which again is fantastic for her. But that will probably be her last ever international tournament. Jess Fishlock have to now improve as a team, develop a team. The Welsh FA need to go, right, Wales are now on the big screen. We've now got to pump money into it, because it's the old catch-22. It's interest and investment. There has to be interest for the investment. The investment drives the interest. Wales have now got themselves on the map. They've got a team that said, right, we can get to major international tournaments. This team can do that. So it's proof of concept. They have that. Now they need to grow that idea and become a consistent regular at European tournaments. In the Nations League, they need to become more competitive. I think they got relegated this time around. They did hold Sweden to some draws, but they lost, I think, most of their games. But they weren't cricket scores. They were pretty close. It's being more competitive. It's getting to the World Cup, getting to the next Euros, and Welsh talent, getting Welsh talent in the WSL. We are seeing it already, like Gemma Evans, is in the WSL. I think it's Angela James as well. Hayley Ladd, who's Kerry Holland, yeah. Hayley Ladd, who is at Everton now. I think she's gone over.
Yes, a lot of these talents as well. They're in the academies. They're basically Wales have have got people like Helen Kane. Her granddad's Welsh. That's how she qualified, but she's English. So it's things like that Wales are doing at the moment because they don't have the
having to pinch players. They're having to pinch players from other nations.
They don't have the development plan in place to go. We've got these players already. We haven't got a Jess Fishlock, for example.
Yeah.
And Adam is right. Development is key. It's how you develop these players now. How you look back on it. What's going to be the legacy? That's the sort of questions that you're going to be asking. A lot of these teams that potential, the Polands as well, the Poland being debutants as well. How do you develop these players and carry on to bringing that? Make sure that next time you're going to be as competitive as possible. I think the worst possible thing, but best possible thing for Wales was the fact that they were drawn in a difficult group to begin with. Had they have gotten, say, in Group A, and I think it would have been Iceland switched with them, I think it would have probably worked. They would have probably had a better chance to qualify, but they wouldn't have had more eyes on them in that sense.
It would have maybe given a false sense.
They still have the same amount of eyes, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think they would have given, if it wasn't that last Switzerland game, if it wasn't Finland, I think they'd give them a run for their money, and Switzerland would have lost it. The way they were playing, I think anything is possible, but there's always what if, and if this happens, that happens. But I think one of the best things I've seen is I've opened up Blue Sky, and I'm just scrolling on the For You page, and I've come across this guy, and his, like, just after Jess Fishlock scored her first goal, become the oldest player to score in a tournament. He goes, "My son's just asked me for a Jess Fishlock shirt."
Yeah,
and he wants to start going to games. I mean, it's amazing what a debut in a tournament can do.
It's quite sad with the Fishlock thing is because she's played in the NWSL. She's not. She did have a brief spell at Bristol Academy and Reading during lockdown, but she's part of trade in the NWSL in America. She's not in the NWSL. She's not on our regular TVs every Sunday. So for a lot of people, this will be the first time they've seen Jess Fishlock and understood her story. From an England perspective, Wales fans will tell you for years how good Jess Fishlock is, but for us ignorant English people, this is the for
some of us do like watching Seattle Rain. Thank you very much.
But those who don't watch the NWSL, and I count somebody who is a very recent convert to it, this will be the first time you'd have seen Jess Fishlock play, and really appreciate then at 38 years old playing at that level is incredible. And hopefully, if this is the end point, then that's into phase one, and Jess Fishlock's a bit. I'm using biblical references, but there's a whole thing about with Moses. Moses brought the Hebrews to the Promised Land, but he did not walk upon it. It was the next. The next story to take Wales on to whatever they can achieve. But it's a really exciting time for them.
No, absolutely. Now for our very own team, we've got Leslie Russo, Chloe Kelly. I am saying Chloe Kelly because she's signed. Beth Mead, Leah Williamson, and Lotta Woodman-Moy. I hope she's still there because I haven't seen her on the cameras recently.
She's missing with someone.
Was Alessia Russo offside against France?
Oh,
yes.
God, you're bringing that up.
I am bringing it up because it's something that's ticked me off. I've got crow's feet in my eyes that are more offside than that was, and that's saying something. And they're very fine.
I think the problem is the line where the line's been drawn, and that's the issue. Is the line should have been drawn where the shirt finishes. For those that I'm actually showing with the shirt line, it should be if the shirt line's actually further up than where it should be, and it actually shows that her boot is fine. It's just I was going to say centimeters in it, or maybe millimeters in it, but it just felt like they made a whole. Mess of what the VAR decision should have been. It wasn't Beth Mead that was officially offside. If you look at the actual footage, it was Alessia Russo because she reached for the ball in that second phase, and that's where I think if people had seen that it was the second phase where Alessia Russo reached for the ball, and because if she reached the ball, she's offside. Fans could deal with that a lot more. But it's the fact that it's millimeters and it's not been drawn properly, and it's supposed to be a semi-automated decision, and the decision's not gone that way.
Okay. Well, I'll have to watch it back. I just know when they did the semi-automatic lines, that the player they did pin it on was Beth Mead, and it was that touch. And what I say is, when I watched it in real time without the graphics, without the fancy graphics and all that stuff, when I watched the replay through, my instinct was offside. I know it's marginal, but when I was watching it live on the feed, my instinct was offside, and that's without the lines, without the graphics. So, and I like to trust my instinct in that situation. Semi-automatic offside, because I think that the line drawing nonsense has gone on for too long. It takes way too long, and so for that logic, then I therefore trust it because it's technology and it's not somebody getting out there slide ruling drawing on the screen. It's technology. It has analysed everything. Now the problem is obviously the margin, but then I think back to the line has to be drawn somewhere. Okay, you can't move it for convenience to say, oh well, it was close. And I think back to goal line technology. Goal line technology, we see the ball only just not cross the line or only just cross the line, and the decision happens, and we don't complain. And for me, I apply that same logic. It's incredibly annoying because it is incredibly close. But again, the offside line has to be drawn somewhere, and then if you start going, well, given the benefit of doubt, and then you start eking over and saying, look, because what happens is then another hyper close decision happens a bit further down. So it's just incredibly unlucky.
You misunderstood me a little bit. Is that it wasn't drawn where the sleeve is now where the handball line is. That's what the official rule is for handball now. So essentially, it could come up here, just above my shoulder. It wouldn't be a handball. But if it hits your flesh, that's now a handball.
Yeah.
So because
where was the line
was drawn, you probably had about 3 inches about there. That's where they didn't fail to draw that line. So it should have been from there. And it wasn't.
Well, again, I'll have to watch I'll have to watch it back. From what I saw, the bits that were offside was the top bit of Beth's arm, and then there is the slightest inch of her foot as well. Like I said, it's incredibly marginal, but then you have to draw the line somewhere. And I would also add this: I don't blame the offside for the result. England didn't deserve to win, and I think the problem is that when the offside happened, and thought, okay, it sucks, it's offside, bury it, move on. What I can say is, up to that point, we've been good. We got a goal. It didn't count. Okay, it happens, but we move on. What the problem is after that, England just collapsed. England collapsed. France stepped up the gears, and we just looked lost for about 60 minutes. They got 2 goals in. Defensively, we were poor. They could have scored more, and then it's only been the last 10. Frantic, and maybe we could have stolen the point. I don't like to go down those rabbit holes of offside lines. I take the semi-automatic offside as it is. I say that is the defined standard. They have computers and cameras and all sorts. It's like Hawkeye when I've been watching women. It's like Hawkeye in the tennis and watching the ball hit the line or not hit the line. It's automatic. Take it. Some days it'll work for us. Some days it won't, and that's just how it goes. And then we move on. And we didn't win against France. However, it may have played into our favour because we're now playing Sweden in the quarterfinals and not Germany. So it could be a decision. If you really think that if you're really angry about the decision, it could be a decision that actually works in our favour. We'll wait to see at the end of the tournament.
At this point for me, as it's in our favour, I'd rather play an informed Sweden than a pissed off Germany.
Yeah, beware wounded animal. Oh, and
absolutely.
And I forgot to say that Germany won. Remember last in the World Cup, Spain conceded 4 goals to Japan in their group stage.
Yes, they did. And also, Argentina lost their first group game and they still won the World Cup. Exactly. So, quarterfinal predictions. Norway v Italy.
Mhm.
I'm going 3-2 to Italy. Adam?
I'm going 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
And goes to penalties. I think it's going to be one of those cruel ones where Italy do well, it goes to penalties, and then Norway scab them because that's what they've been doing all tournament, and it's unfair. But Norway go through on the experience front.
Okay, what's the score going to be for penalties?
4-3.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Matt?
I'm going to go 2-1 Norway. I think Hermione Granger. No, Gemma Granger. I had it right first time.
Hermione Granger. Since when did she
I've been listening to the audiobooks. That's what it is.
Okay.
Gemma Granger has got that team finally ticking, although some of those players are yet to officially arrive at the tournament. Yeah, it's just I think they've got the experience now to get it over the line, and those demons are officially gone.
I'm going to go wild. I'm going to go 3-2 to Italy. Spain v Switzerland, 4-0 for me. Nice and easy. Adam?
I'm going to go. I've got to be careful. I don't put the penalty card on every game.
Yeah, you better not, because I'm writing these down.
No, I think Switzerland will get their moment and get a goal. 4-1 to Spain.
Yeah. Okay, Matt?
I'm using my wild card. I'm going to say Switzerland are going to win 2-1 in extra time.
So basically what we did last time in Euro to Spain.
No, I don't think it's going to go that way. I think.
What's the score going to be at
full time 1-1?
Okay. Sorry, go on, Matt. Continue. We are listening.
No. I just think it's going to be a lot different this time. I think it might be the fact, like maybe the last 10 minutes of the game or something like that. Finally, Spain get that goal, and then Switzerland pull another Finland out the hat in the last minute, and that sort of breaks Spain down again.
Interesting. Okay. I'm Sweden, England. I've gone for a draw, but I'm not giving you a draw score because I don't know. And then England win in added extra time.
Okay. I think we go out we've never gone out in the quarterfinals, and I was thinking that Germany would do us in the quarterfinals. So I'm saying Sweden do us on penalties in shades of 84, and 1-1 draw and 4-2 on pens to Sweden.
Oh jeez.
This is where it's difficult for me because you've got how well do I think England are going to be against Sweden's counter-attack? And bear in mind that you've got a lot of those players know who they are and everything. Is that going to play a part?
The familiarity.
Is
going to be a massive part.
You know what? I think it's going to be an entertaining game, and I'm going 3-2 Sweden. For whatever reason, I'm not backing England to do well this tournament.
No, you've been wrong all the way, so I'm happy with that. Right. Wounded Animal, Germany v France. I've gone for 3-2 to France. I just can't, with no right backs, I just think they're going to be absolutely exposed.
The problem is France always choke in the knockout rounds because they've never got.
If I'm right, if I'm wrong, I'm happy with that.
I don't think they've ever got to. It's either they've never won. They've got to a semi-final because they got to the last semi-final and then when they lost to Germany. France have been so good in these group stages. The only team that's been better has been Spain, but then I just think they'll get to the knockout rounds and they'll fumble it. So I'm going 2-1 Germany after extra time, 1-1 at full time.
Germany.
Oh God, you've got 3-1 draws. That's God, you're so boring. And then what was it on pens? Sorry.
No, 2-1 after extra time.
2-1 to Germany, yeah?
Yeah.
I just had to make sure I got that the right way around.
Am I right in saying that France haven't kept a clean sheet all tournament? one against France, one
No,
against England,
they
one two.
conceded every game.
So,
Yeah.
who's the biggest impact for Germany? That's Leah Schürrle. So,
Jewel Brand. Don't let her off.
well, Jewel Brand whips the ball into Leah Schürrle, and Leah Schürrle's on the end of it.
Yeah, but they're both scoring goals. So
yes, but you never the one thing you never count. You don't never. What's the words? Never go against the Germans because they're
never count out the Germans.
That's it. Thank you. I knew it was something silly like that. So
I have.
I think lessons have been learned. Is it who's going to play it right back? No one there. Like they'll probably play like a false right wing back, sort of like a Saka sort of situation. They'll do. But I think Germany's going to win this one. I've gone 2-1. I've gone 3-1. Do you know what? I'm going to be very boring and say 1-0 Germany.
Sorry, bear with me. I can't spell. There we go. And that is all we've got time today. We've gone a minute over. So if you're still with us, well done. We appreciate you, and we will see you after the quarterfinals, just before the semi-finals, and one of the boys will be in the hosting seat. I hope you've enjoyed the show, guys. You can catch us on VAW Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky. Matt, where can everyone find you?
At MattLR28.
And you can find me at Adam Salter 4 on the socials, or underscore, so on all socials.
And that is all from us for tonight. Come on, England.